Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the second group. We want to present about the form of non-finite clause. Non-finite clause contain a predicate that has the form of FP, headed by a secondary form of the verb. It means that they do not have primary tense. We can look in this example. I remembered to talk to my doctor. If it's true, then I actually did to talk to my doctor. The preterite inflection on remember and locate both of the remembering and the talking to the doctor is past time. The second example, I intended to talk with my doctor. If it's true, however, that does not necessarily mean that I talked to my doctor. Indeed, it rather suggests that I didn't. Indeed, unlike remember, has a meaning that involves projection into the future. Indeed. So, the time of the indeed action is always later than the time of the intention. Okay. Continue in subordinate into infinitivals 2 and 4. A non-finite clause have special subordinators, that is 2 and 4. Two infinitivals are marked by the word to, and it is and when a to infinitive contains a subject, it also contains the clause subordinator for, which appear to the beginning of the clause, right before the subject. You can look in the sample. For John to lose his temper like that is highly unusual. The begin with for in this first example. We can see the strong similarity meaning between for John and for everyone. Okay. The second example, we can afford for everyone to travel business class. It does for infinitive clause with subject what the subordinate that does for declarative content clause. Subject non-finite. Okay, interpreting subject clause. In this example, Ed promised to resign from the board. In part B, they called on Ed to resign from the board. This example is synthetic determination, and in the second example, that is non-synthetic determination. Okay, first, synthetic determination. There is synthetic determination in first example, so we can immediately see what the understood subject must be simply by looking at linguistic antecedent that appears in some particular synthetic function in the matrix contraction. Promise in here and color, that is antecedent. And in first example in part A, the matrix clause has the verb. The matrix clause has the verb promise, and its head verb, which means that Ed did the promising, and this is enough to tell anyone. This sentence enough to tell anyone that Ed promised to resign from the board. And part B, Ed was the one they called on. So again, we know that Ed is the one who resignation is being discussed. So this is synthetic determination because the matrix clause has the verb. Yes. And no, we can continue the second example. No synthetic determination. uh, okay. In first example is that it applies to generally. It is unwise for anyone to go swimming straight after a meal. The silent interpretation is in part A, in the second example. Okay, in part B, second example, however, we are talking about a particular event of inviting at some time in the past, and someone issued the invitation to add to the party, so the missing subject is understood as referring to that person. Okay. Continue in non-finite clause functioning as a jam. Uh, one construction fall close to the boundary between the determinate and non-determinate construction. That is the case of finite clause functioning as or within certain kinds and supplementary agent. Okay, look in the sample. Having read the report, Mary was sure there had been a miscarriage of justice. Having read the report is a jam, and the missing subject of the non-finite is retrievable. It's retrievable by looking at the subject of the matrix clause. It provides a plausible subject, and there is no other candidate. So we understand that the sentence as saying that it was Mary who read the report. Okay, continue in understood subject given by non-subject non-phrase. This example appeared in print with the double underline non-phrase and intended antecedent for the missing subject of the underlined clause adjunct. So they give symbol person here, and it will be recalled indeed that by no means every speaker of standard English would be find it acceptable. To look in the example, born and bred in Brisbane, the Sunshine Coast was always my preferred destination to recharge and socialize from teenage years. Okay, the subject of matrix clause is the sunshine. That is the subject. The Sunshine Coast. That is subject, and makes no sense as subject of born and bred. Is no sense as the subject born and bred. And for alternative, and my provide one, we can assume that is the speaker who was born and bred in Brisbane. In the second example, Jennifer Lopez starred as Marisa and made in a fancy New York City hotel while trying on a wealthy woman's dress. A handsome and rich politician mistakes her for a society woman. Okay, from a description of the plot of Maid and Mahatma in Cinema Public of Later, the second sentence is supposed to be saying that Marisa was trying on the dress, and there is nothing linguistically and about he was trying on wealthy woman's dress, so we only return to the assumption that Marisa referred to by the object pronounced hair was trying on the dress when we decide that this makes a more reasonable plot for the movie being described. We continue in understood subject not given by any noun phrase. Okay. Sometimes noun phrase in the sentence give us any clue about what we should take to be the understood subject. Okay. Here this example. Being desperately poor, paper was always scarce as was ink. The subject or the subject is being desperately poor is supposed to refer of John Clare. This is the subject. And agriculture laborer. The example appeared in review of a book. And the matrix law subject, the matrix, this is paper, this is the matrix, and the surrounding sentence have to be read to see what the sentence is intended to mean. In the second example, having failed once in the fear of failure any less this time around. Okay, this content make it clear that the understood subject of having failed, the understood subject having failed. The notice that person addressed the interviewer say, address the interview. Okay, this is will explain by Kak Afif.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will explain about gerund participle and hollow non-finite clause. Gerund participle, here the facts are more complex. There are various case possibilities for subject or gerund participle, but they differ depending on whether the cause is a complement or an adjunct. Gerund participle as complement. The first example, she insisted on my or me being present throughout the interview. If a personal pronoun subject is not in the genitive, then it takes accusative case as with me. The second example, she insisted on her father's or her father being present throughout the interview. It is most likely with personal pronouns and next most likely with short singular non-phrase denoting humans like her fathers. The third example, she insisted on there being a counselor present throughout the interview. Some non-phrase such as the and gerund participle as adjunct. The first example, she sought advice from it being the most experienced of her college. This is accusative because informal. And the second example, she sought advice from him being the most experienced of her college. This is nominative because formal. And hollow non-finite clause. The house will be ready for you to inspect in a few days. Is the house what I was getting used to? And the second example is, the new car took me quite a long time to get used to. Was the new car what would have taken too long to read? The third example, the report was for too long to read in one evening. Was the report what was difficult to refute? And the fourth example, they come up with a rather difficult argument to refute. Was the argument what is worth looking at? And the fifth example, her new book is definitely worth looking at. Is her new book. Thank you for your attention, guys. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.